Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 11th, 2025 meeting of the Board of Education for Arlington Heights School District 25. Thank you to all of you that are joining us tonight, both in person and those watching virtually. Before we begin, I want to share that our meetings are when the school board conducts its business and are open to the public. Because we are an elected governmental body, we can only take action by majority vote in a public meeting like this one. We welcome the public to listen and observe, and we have community input sections on the agenda if you have questions or comments about the business of the board. With that, I call the regular meeting to order, and Ms. O'Brien, if you could please call the roll.
Olenichek? Here. Neerman? Here. Jogi?
Here.
Scapalato?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Cerniglia?
Here.
Faso?
Thank you, Lana. If you could, please stand if you are able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, we reserve the first space on our agenda to recognize the outstanding accomplishments of our District 25 students. To our students and parents that are joining us tonight for coming out despite the cold and busy schedules, so we can celebrate your achievements. This evening, we're going to recognize student accomplishments in academics, music, and sports. So I think we're going to start by recognizing the South and Thomas students who participated in the District 25 Spelling Bee, and I'll turn it over to Dr. K.
Thank you, President Scapalato. So I'm going to introduce one of our coaches when we are ready to introduce the team. The reason I do that is strategic, so they don't mess up all of your last names. So we will have your coaches come up to introduce you guys. We have a small gift to give you. Then we'll stay up here for a nice photograph as well. So what I'd like to do is start with our recognition for the Spelling Bee. So if I could have Kim Kusil come on up to talk a little bit about the Spelling Bee and recognize those students first. Thanks, Kim.
Hi, everyone. We are lucky to celebrate our athletes and musicians and our spellers tonight. And at South and Thomas, the students can participate in a classroom spelling bee and then advance to a school district bee. And then we have students that advance to two next levels. We have a regional bee, and then we also participate with the Knights of Columbus, and they have a spelling bee. So we're going to honor our spellers, our top 6 district spellers tonight. So, ready? I think so. We have a little video that we want to share with you.
Do you want to show the video first?
Yeah, let's do that. Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty great. Oh, yeah, give it up for them. It's fun to do something outside of your comfort zone, which is always a fun thing to do. So, without further ado, can we get the show on the road? All right. Not everybody is present tonight, but I want to give some accolades to Anaga Prasad. She was our top speller in District 25. She's advancing to the Regional B on February 25th, so let's give her a hand. Thanks. And she's from Thomas. Another Thomas student is our second place winner, Prakash Siva Subramanian. So come on up. Something fun. He was the top speller at the Knights of Columbus Bee this weekend, so good job. Our third place speller was Joshua Barnes from South. I didn't see him, so we'll give him a hand anyway. And our next speller is Ziva Delgado from South. I know she's here, so come on up, Ziva. And she was our second place speller at the Knights of Columbus Bee, which is a mixture of different schools across the region. So nice job, Ziva. And then we have Jacob Gruba from South. I didn't see him. Thank you. And then Nakib Muhammad is here. Come on up. Thanks. And he was one of the top 4 spellers at the Knights of Columbus Feast. So great job, everyone. Congrats. Thanks.
So I'm curious if you remember the words that you spelled correctly that you were a little nervous about. Do you recall a word that they gave you? You're like, oh man, this one's going to make me a little nervous. Do you remember? That's the confidence I expected. What you couldn't hear was, no, they were all easy. Wow.
Population.
You crushed population, I'm sure. Yeah. I can sense you got that one. How about the two of you? Any challenging words or the word you came into 4th place with?
My word was solemn.
Solemn. Oh boy. Do you want to try it now?
SOLEMN.
Where's the green paddle? Correct. Well done. Congratulations. And yourself, do you have any stories from the B?
I spelled consonant wrong, and I still don't know how to spell it.
Hilarious. So you've not gone to check to see how to spell consonant? You're like boycotting consonant. I like the approach that you're taking. Well, congratulations. That's quite an honor for all 3 of you, and we're really thrilled. Congratulations. Kim, come on up. Get in a photo. Congratulations. Thanks, guys. Thanks for doing it. You're good. Thank you. Thanks, Kim. All right. Next up, we have our All-Illinois Junior Band. And I believe we have Candy, Miss Horton is here, to read off those names. And I heard you might also have something to give these students as well. Some certificates. Excellent. And a video. Man, trifecta. Well, I'm going to give you the microphone, and I assume we're going to start with the video?
That's great.
Awesome. All right, we'll start with the video.
I am so incredibly proud of these students that made the All Illinois Junior Honor Band. This is a state competition at the individual level. So the students competed on their own to prepare music that they recorded and sent off to judges. They were in competition with students from all over the state of Illinois. There were hundreds and hundreds of applications. And these students rose to the top and nabbed a spot in this prestigious band. The festival was held in January down at the University of Illinois, as you probably saw in the video. And the students had 2 days of rehearsals culminating in a concert on the second day. And they had a lot of really great experiences and met a lot of other students from around the state that have similar interests, and that was just a really fun thing to see a lot of folks from all over come together. So the following people, as I read your name, come on up and we can give you a certificate. We have Ishan Varma on saxophone. Maybe can I hand it to you? and Caroline Hong on oboe. Andrew Rice on clarinet. Landon Rice on euphonium. And, oh, here we go. And Colin O'Brien. I think he's stuck in here. I think your certificate got stuck together there. There we go. All right, I need a third hand. So congratulations to these wonderful kids for their good hard work. That would be great, thank you.
He wants to keep his instrument in there. See if the alto sax fits in there. I noticed none of them brought their instruments, so we probably won't have a live display. I was hopeful. Maybe kazoos next year. But congratulations to all of you for making it that far. That's awesome. Next up, we have the ILMEA composition contest, and I'm going to welcome back up Miss Horton to read that name. And we have a video for this one as well? Oh, we do not. That's awesome. Not a problem. But I will hand the mic to you.
All right. So I'm so proud of our band kids at Thomas. They're working so hard. There was another thing going on called ILMEA District 7. We had some of our students make the honor band, and they were thankfully recognized at our board meeting last month. But there was another category in there that the results were delayed, and it was funny that I actually I picked up an email with the results while I was in that board meeting last month. So the results for the composition contest over the state of Illinois, we had a student first ever from Thomas apply to win a spot, and he won second place in the composition contest for the state of Illinois. He wrote a beautiful work for keyboard, and he did this on his own. I cannot take any credit at all, except I submitted him through our band to the competition. So I'm so proud of this student for the work that he did, that his musical ability shone through. And that student is Andrew Shank. Come on up, Shank, Andrew Shank. Sorry. Yes, that's a certificate. And he was awarded this award at the All-State IMEC, they call it, where all the band directors from Illinois go, and bunches of people in January. And he was awarded a special award there in Peoria, of all places. It's a really big honor to go there in the music world. So awesome job. All right.
We'll get a photo, then I have a question. All right, Andrew, don't go too far yet. So, composition means you've written a piece of music all by yourself. So I assume no ChatGPT. Awesome. What was the inspiration for the song, and does the composition have a title?
There was really no inspiration. I just really wrote it with my music theory teacher. The title is just Opus number 1, which translates to song number 1. So I couldn't really think of anything at the moment, but
I think he's selling himself short. I think there's some really major companies that keep simple titles like Apple. So song number 1 sounds pretty good, but I like the way you said, is it Opus? Opus 1. Well, congratulations. What an honor.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. And I think we have some people in the front row that cannot wait to be introduced. They're like my clap group up here. Yeah, you guys bring the spirit squad. So next up, I'd like to recognize the South Middle School 7th grade girls basketball team who made it all the way down to state and got a 3rd place trophy, which we're going to hear about today. Mr. Birdie. Mr. Birdie, good to have you up here. I'm going to give you the mic in just a second. We had booked this group at a different board meeting, thinking that we knew they had already had achieved 3rd place before a different board meeting. Mr. Birdie reached out and said, hey, you got to reschedule it because I can't be there, another coach may not be able to be there, and we want to be there to celebrate the team. So I am so glad some of you got here extra early to celebrate today. We were thrilled. But we are very excited to recognize you guys. I don't know, it looks like there's at least a picture. Is there a video to go with it?
No, you just get me.
Yeah, I like having just you, Mr. Birdie. This will be great. So without further ado, Coach Birdie.
Yes, and they were here nice and early, and it had nothing to do with me putting the wrong time in an email. Nothing whatsoever.
I didn't say anything about
First off, I wanted to thank the school board for recognizing our season tonight. So I am Dan Birdie, the coach of the 7th grade coach, and I'm excited to fill everyone in on the season that we had. We became just the 3rd ever girls team to qualify for state at South. And the 2nd ever to take home a trophy at state. Yeah. So first off, I of course want to thank these girls and their parents. Their parents are our top cheerleaders. They led carpools, so give it up for your parents right there. They deserve a lot of recognition. I also wanted to thank our administration over at South. So that would be Dr. Morrison, Ms. Rosen, and Mr. Prorock. One of them was at every single one of our state tournament games between regional, sectional, and state. And Dr. Morrison, I think, earned super fan status by coming downstate during a blizzard to see us play in the 3rd place game. So thank you to our admin. You all do a great job for us, and you set the tone for us, so we really appreciate what you did for us this season. Also wanted to give out a shout out to my other members of my coaching staff. First off, Scott McTagg. Mr. McTagg is the 8th grade coach. He's the architect of our basketball program. He taught me a lot of things, and he's let me use my own personal flair. So I thank him for, he's been a coach for 15 years for our program, and without him, I don't think we have as many good offensive plays. So let's give it up for Mr. McTagg. Yeah. And our other assistant, Miss Sparlin, she was a 1st-year teacher who, yes, they're very excited about her. She played D3 basketball, and just for kind of a love of wanting to be around the sport, really brought us and was a great perspective and was a very valuable asset to everything we did. As for, I'm an LA teacher. So I wrote a little bit more than I actually need, but I just wanted to first just talk a little bit about the team that's sitting in front of me. And one thing the word that I associate with them mainly is the word pride. Out of any team I've coached, they take pride in everything they do, and they make me proud because of it. Part of that pride, if I can turn the page, right here. There we go. Part of that is just that they were a dominant team during the season. They went undefeated, but they would take critiques, they would focus in practice, they would strengthen the weaknesses that we had, and they just tried to get better every day. So it was a big group as well, and there was nobody who was complaining about playing time, and everyone knew they had a role, and everybody, all 14 players we had, which is a lot of players, all had a moment to shine at some point during the season. So I had a lot of pride in how they acted, and I would say there are players who came off my bench who would be the best player on a lot of teams in this area, and they all did what they needed to do to be a successful team. So they gave me pride in that, and I'm also proud of how supportive they were of each other. So I wanted to give 2 examples from state where they really showed amazing support. So the first was from our first game, the state quarterfinal. That's where you either get a trophy or you don't. You have to win. I got there last year and lost. It wasn't fun. And so this year, we had an interesting first half. We went 0 for 10 from the free throw line. And one of our players, I won't name her, she missed a few free throws, including off of a technical foul, and the very mature fans from the other team were kind of harassing her about the missing free throws. So we got into the locker room, and there were tears about this. And as you can see by me dealing with emotional teenage girls is definitely the best thing. But what I really appreciated was the girls came together. They showed support to our player who needed the support. There was tears, there was laughter because Mr. Birdie told some great jokes right after that, of course, right? And then we sat back and we looked at our board and we're like, let's just make a couple changes. And then we went and outscored them 16-1 in the third quarter. And we won our quarterfinal game to get our first trophy in 7 years. So that was a really great sign of support, and that made me proud. And the other thing that I wanted to say for the Pride, before I give the story, is first I want to let us all know we're in the presence of a IESA record holder right here in Georgia Hill. She set for the state portion of the IESA tournament, she set the all-time record for most three-pointers made in the state portion. And part of the fun of that was through our first two games, one of our statisticians was checking all the history of the website and saw, all right, Georgia needs to hit 4 threes in the third place game to break the record. And sure enough, she hit 2 threes in the first minute. And then she hit another one about 2 minutes later. But let's just say the other team at that point knew they needed to defend her very closely. And it was kind of a tight game at halftime, and Georgia showed that pride and that camaraderie and that support by not worrying about the threes. And we came out, we made a couple adjustments, we really worked our post game, and we went from up 2 to up by about 15 in the third quarter. And we got Georgia out there for the fourth quarter, and again, the pride of the support of each other was just, we had a play that we rarely ever ran, but I knew it would work, and it got Georgia open for 3, she hit the 3, and just seeing the reaction of the girls on the bench when she hit the 3 was probably one of the best moments of the season for me, because they were so excited. They started chanting and doing their, shooting their arrows to honor Georgia, and I was like, all right, we're up 17, get out of here, Georgia, so I don't look like I'm running the score up. So she did a great job, and it just showed a lot of pride for me and made me really happy to be their coach. So as your coach, the last thing I'm going to say is thank you for making me proud and having a reason to have that pride. So to this team, and I get to read all their names off now in a second. Oh, yes. So I wanted to just let them know how proud I was of them and that we're so happy, and hopefully we can see a state championship next year, girls. All right. All right, so with that, I present to you the 2024 regional sectional champions and third place in IESA 4A, the South Girls Basketball 2024 7th grade team. All right, I will, yeah, I'll read that. All right, so we handing out anything out here? All right, so coming on up, we have Eva Bavacqua, Bella Caldera, Marley Camardella. I'm still going to read the names of the people who aren't here, but Kate Fisher, Maddie Foreman, and now Georgia Hill coming up. Gia Human. Got a few more to read who aren't here, but Mila Kasprinska, Joanna Kalergis, Mia Riggy, and now Madeline Searle. Have Anissa Stanley, who's not here too. Kaylin Stevens, come on down. And Mallory Tosh, come on down.
Thank you.
Excellent. Congratulations, guys. Well done. Superfan, did you want a photo with the team? Come on up. They're already in line. Come on up, Superfan. Come on up. Come on. They called you out as the Superfan. Right, Dan Birdie? Sure was. Yeah. You guys can stay right there. He's just going to lay down in front. Just kidding, but I know you would. Let's get one more photo with these guys. South Middle School, 7th grade. Mr. Birdie said next year, potential 8th grade champions. Congratulations, you guys. Well done. Thanks, Dan. Can I steal that one back? Thanks.
Everyone, we're so grateful you joined us tonight, and so you're welcome to stay, but it's okay if you want to leave right now, and it's all good. So thank you again, and congratulations to everybody. All right, we'll continue on with our agenda this evening with board communications. So I'll look to my colleagues. Is there any updates from our board members? Go ahead, Liz.
Mr. President, a couple of updates. I was lucky enough to attend the Science Olympiad. It was the Kilmus Founders Invite at Thomas Middle School. There were 54 teams, hundreds of scientific minds, lots of lab coats running around the halls, very exciting. So definitely kudos to our Science Olympiad coaches and students and Thomas for, I mean, honestly, opening up their entire school to host this amazing event, food trucks and everything. That was really fun to see. And then also, I was able to walk along with the South Middle School lockdown, and I wanted to again, send kudos to our district and South admin, our tonight's police department. It was so smooth, very well done. The kids were super, it was just like 5 minutes. So again, thank you to everyone who's doing the work to keep our schools very safe.
Thank you, Liz.
Mr. President?
Yes, Kevin?
I wanted to share that a couple weeks ago on January 31st, I had the unique privilege of spending a half day in this very room, but not as a member of the Board of Education, rather as an instructional coach in a neighboring school district who was invited here by our Department of Student Learning Director, Andrea Lusso, and her team of instructional coaches. So as I'm sure the rest of the board remembers, last year we voted, I think it was unanimously, to approve the addition of the new position of instructional coaches, one at each building. And in Park Ridge Niles School District 64, the district of my employment, we also have an instructional coach at each building, and I am one of those coaches. So Andrea invited Matt Tomes, who is District 64's Director of Technology and Innovation, to bring my team together with the team of coaches here in D25. So we spent that half day together kind of talking about our journey as navigating student-centered coaching, since we're both undergoing very similar professional development right now. And it was just a really positive experience for me and for my team, and I hope the instructional coaches here felt the same thing. It was a great chance to network, compare notes, share success stories, ask questions. And we're planning to continue that collaboration later in this school year. District 64 is inviting the D25 team to visit our district in May, I believe. And it was just, even though I was here not in my board member hat, like in the back of my mind, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride at the fact that we have brought this opportunity. I could tell that these coaches are very passionate about supporting their staff and supporting the students in their schools. And I just wanted to share how impressed I was as a fellow educator.
Thanks, Kevin. And I have one item to share, and maybe rhymes with what one of Liz's share-outs was. I got to go to the Windsor Science and Engineering Fair on Thursday, February 6th, which was just such an impressive display of the student scientists as they presented their boards and their experiments. They they showed their hypothesis, the procedure, the data, the results. Had live demonstrations there for some of them. Some of my favorites were which candy dissolves fastest, measuring the length of different airplane designs as how far they could fly, and maybe the top one on my list was how many minifigs to sink a boat. So, but they really, all joking aside, the level of detail and thoughtfulness and putting together their displays was really impressive, and kudos to everybody involved in putting that event together. So, go ahead, Anisha.
Yeah, such fun events. It's great to hear about the different events that our board members, board colleagues are at. I had the privilege of being at the middle school dance competition at Thomas Middle School. Again, hosted this huge event for area dance team. I didn't even know things like this existed. My kids are older now. I wish they were like, I wish my girls were younger to do this all over. But it was awesome. And the parents, coaches, volunteers, lots and lots of sequins. I hear about sequins and parents actually putting on sequins, like my friend Liz over here. And the first place winner from all the area schools was Thomas dance team. So that was really fun. It was a really fun event. I also got to, in this whole music theme, I got to attend the 5th grade band concert at South Middle School. I wanted to see a day in the life of what our board colleague does as far as his day job. But such kudos to the staff and the band directors and our stars, the students, and I'm so excited Dr. K was there in the room cheering them on. And for days later, I had Baby Shark stuck in my head. So that was really fun to be with. And then this Saturday, my colleague Brian and I, with our superintendent, we were at Coffee with the Board, and we are grateful to all the guests who attended that event. So lots of fun stuff happening around the district for us. So thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, thank you for all those updates, everybody. We'll continue on, and we're going to hear about Ed Red and Kevin and Stacy. Any updates for us this month?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, so first of all, you might remember at the last meeting, I had shared that I was scheduled to attend the annual Ed Red Legislative Dinner, which took place in late January. Unfortunately, I became ill a couple days before the event and was not able to attend. I know that Dr. K was there with a couple members of the district administrative team as well, I believe. So if Dr. K, if you do have anything at any point to share from that, please feel free to interject, and I'd be happy to hear any updates from that event, and wish I could have been there myself. On Friday, February 7th, I did attend the monthly Ed Red meeting. It was held via Zoom only, and the bulk of the meeting focused on the topic of executive orders. They had 2 guests from Robbins Schwartz attorneys, Joseph Perkowski and Matthew Swift. I hope I'm pronouncing their names correctly. And they shared that they and other attorneys that represent boards and school districts in Illinois have gotten quite a lot of questions based on recent executive orders that have come from the federal government regarding education, schools, and things that might impact school districts in Illinois and around the country. So it was interesting because it kind of started with an interesting civics lesson, which was review from our high school social studies days. So they started off with the basic of what is an executive order, and I thought this was an important point to share because I think a lot of people either get confused or they might forget. So their definition of it is an executive order is a legally binding directive from the President of the United States to the executive branch of government to carry out existing laws, but does not create new laws. It provides direction as policy and enforcement priorities. Executive orders cannot erase existing laws. They are grounded in Article 2 of the Constitution. Any changes to existing Department of Education policies and procedures must go through Administrative Procedures Act. So the reason they brought all this up is because some of the executive orders, particularly around the topics of immigration, gender identity, and diversity, equity, and inclusion, in some cases kind of conflict with certain school districts and school boards' policies around those topics. So what they basically, the kind of the Cliff's Notes version of what their advice to districts would be at this point is, first of all, of course, when in doubt, consult your attorney. And secondly, that at any point, if you see that your policy is conflicting either with an executive order or a guidance of the Department of Education, or if it's conflicting with either Illinois state law or IASB guidelines, their recommendation is to adhere to state law and IASB guidelines for the time being. And they also said that because a lot of executive orders have been or may in the future be challenged by state attorneys general, by union organizations, et cetera, unless there's something that the district really feels like they need to move on immediately for a certain reason, it's best to wait and see how things play out in the legal system before making any immediate changes to policies or procedures, is how I would say they would put it. They did want to point out that relevant statutes to be aware of in the state of Illinois are the Illinois Human Rights Act. That is a state level protection that does affect how people interpret both gender identity and work authorization statuses. The Trust Act, which limits Illinois law enforcement from cooperating on civil immigration enforcement, however not criminal enforcement. And then FERPA, which states that any government agencies asking to access or view protected student info would have to first show that they have a court order to access said information. Let's see, it was a lot. It was a long meeting, so I apologize. I'm trying to go through my notes and make sure I don't miss anything that was relevant to the topics. Let's see. I think I'm going to move forward to more local information now that was shared by Bridget Peach during the meeting. So there is still an effort to change the language of the paid leave ordinance for Cook County. I know that no longer directly impacts us because the Village of Arlington Heights made an exception for the case of District 25, but they are still working on that at a state and a county level as one of the EdRed initiatives. They are still working on polling places, and they are still, a new item, they are seeking feedback from school administrators, but also from school board members, and I can put you in touch with Bridget Peach if you don't have her email address, on the topic of cell phone bans in schools, because she said as of March 7th, I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm looking at two different notes here. As of February 7th, the date of the meeting, there were already 5 bills that were being put forward that would propose some form of banning cell phones in schools statewide. So as an organization, EdRed is looking for input and feedback from different districts and boards of education. So if you have any thoughts or ideas about that topic, Bridget would like you to reach out to her and share your thoughts. The next meeting of EdRed will be on Friday, March 7th at the Wheeling 21 boardroom, and it will also be held via Zoom, and I plan on joining virtually. I'm going to hand it over. Stacy's not in the room right now. So Dr. K, do you have anything to share either based on last week's meeting or the legislative dinner. Or if not, then Stacy, if you have anything to share that I didn't cover, please chime in.
The only other addition that you talked about locally, they're focusing on preserving the state paid leave law and deprioritizing schools as polling places. The third one was improving dual credit quality for our high school students to get some credit for college. Those are their three big priorities for this school year.
Stacy, was there anything that I missed from last week's meeting that you wanted to cover?
No, I followed my notes and had highlighted pretty much everything that you said, so.
Okay. Mr. President, before I wrap up, there was one other thing, and I just kind of wanted to bring this up as something for the rest of the board to consider, based on the fact that almost the entirety of this past EdRed meeting focused more on executive orders than it did on state legislation, and considering the potential impact of either current or future executive orders, I'm wondering how the rest of the board would feel if, in addition to EdRed updates, which I think will probably continue to include those topics already, if something comes along that seems like it may impact the work of the board or the policies of the district, if I would, in the future, include that information in these legislative reports. So I don't know, Mr. President, if that's something we need to get like a thumbs up or thumbs down on right now, or if it's something we just want to think about as a board and come back to later on, but I just wanted to bring up that thought.
Thank you for that question, Kevin, and I think at this point we could gather consensus, really, in the sense of the board. Is there any questions on that, or just have Kevin keep us? Yeah, I think they'll stay within legislative and governmental guidance updates, so it doesn't look like. So thank you, Kevin, for bringing that idea forward. And thank you for all the updates. Have to stay on top of. Thank you, Kevin and Stacy and Dr. K. So we'll go on to IASB, and Anisha, please.
Thanks so much, Mr. President. I had a quick question for Kevin before I moved on. With the EdRed, when they talked about the ban, was it for elementary, is K-12, elementary and high school?
On what was the topic
on
you're asking about?
ban for the phones.
Oh, you know, I don't think she specified. I would assume it would be K-12, but I'm not certain.
Okay, good. Yeah, that'd be good. We'll have to look into that. Thanks for that. For Illinois Association of School Boards, it's been an interesting always. They have lots and lots of, development opportunities for school board members. So I had the opportunity of attending an informative ISB session of how to welcome new board members, as our board will be, thanking our existing board members who are rolling off after so many dedicated years, and we welcome new board members. The session was really informative as we continue to foster a high-performing governance team. It was great to participate in this session, and lots of nuggets in here in that presentation. So I'm glad I was there. And I was actually able to contribute some fun things that we do here and at District 25 that others were like, oh wow, we don't do that. And so I was able to share some best practices that we've kind of rolled out over the years. So I was proud to do that. ISB is also going through a constitution review right now. So there's 2 directors are on the committee along with ISB officers. So that's kind of cool. And then there's 2 other events coming up that are interesting, sound important and interesting. COSBA is hosting a safety conference that'll take place in St. Louis, June 25th through 27th in the summer. I had attended a safety conference last month with Dr. K, which was very well done. And I've shared some informational FYI notes with you folks. I think it was one of a very meaningful, packed event that I had attended with Dr. K. And then there's a new board member event that's going to be happening September 13th for our new board members. That's going to be happening in Naperville. So ISB, we thank them for all the professional development they continue to provide new and existing board members. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that update. And so we'll go on to NSSEO, and Liz, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually don't have a report this month because the meeting was last week and was canceled, and it's being rescheduled for tomorrow. So I will strap on my snowshoes and I'll have a double report for us next month.
All right. Safe, Liz, thank you. All right, we have arrived at the community input portion of our agenda. If a member of the public wishes to address any item on tonight's agenda, please complete one of the blue forms provided on the table just inside the door and hand the card to Lana O'Brien. Please note on the card if you wish to speak now or at the first, or if you wish to speak, should we have a second opportunity for community input. We do have a blue slip this evening, so I'm going to share this with the audience. The opportunity to speak to the board is provided for members of the public who have a comment to make about the business of the board. The board appreciates hearing from stakeholders and values your thoughts and questions. Public input can be helpful to the board as we strive to make the best decisions for the district. In order for the board to reserve sufficient time to conduct its business and operate its meeting in the spirit of civility and decorum, speakers are expected to adhere to the following guidelines. 1, address the board only at the time provided on the agenda and only after being recognized by the board president. 2, identify yourself and be brief. Comments must be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Shorten this time in order to allow the maximum number of people the opportunity to speak. And number 3, please be respectful and courteous. The board requests that you not make statements that are personally disrespectful or condescending to members, board, or our staff. The board typically does not respond to comments or attempt to answer questions during the public comment period, but we do listen intently and appreciate the input from our community. As always, if you have included your email on the comment form, somebody will get back to you regarding the questions or concerns presented. The only submission we have this evening is for Tara Bywater. If you please come on up to the microphone and welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Hi. So my name's Tara. I have 3 kids that one went through the district and 2 currently, one at Thomas and one at Olive. So I'm here tonight with other parents and the community members who deeply value the safety, well-being, and educational success of every child in our district. We want to take a moment to express our strong support for the district's commitment to ensuring that all students, regardless of their background, immigration status, race, ethnicity, gender identity, and ability, feel safe, valued, and supported in our schools. We commend District 25 for its clear stance in alignment with the Illinois State Board of Education that every child has a right to an education, and the schools are not places for immigration enforcement. We appreciate the guidance provided to staff and administrations how to respond if immigration officials attempt to access our schools. We are also grateful for the district's commitment to upholding the student privacy protections under the law. In addition to these protections, we strongly support diversity, equality, and inclusion. The initiatives of the schools. These initiatives ensure that every child, no matter their race, religion, ability, gender, or background, has the opportunity to feel seen, respected, and included. When we create learning environments where all students feel they belong, we give them the foundation they need to succeed both academically and personally. We ask the board and district leadership to continue taking every step necessary to uphold these protections, strengthen DEI efforts, and ensure that District 25 remains a safe and welcoming environment for all students. No child should come to school in fear. No family should feel that their child's right to an education is in jeopardy, and no student should feel invisible or unwelcome in their own community. So basically just saying thank you. There are many families in the community that I have talked to that appreciate all the efforts being made, and given all the executive orders and everything going on, just want to make that clear that it's being appreciated at some level by multiple families in the community. So, thanks.
Thank you for joining us. And so we will move on to our communications from district partners. Amanda Bonsali from the PTA was not able to join us tonight, but I know, Dr. K, you have a share out from her.
Yeah, Amanda shared an opportunity for me to share out for her. She is sorry she couldn't attend. She is the Arlington Heights Council of PTA president. The AHC PTA scholarship applications are now available. Applications for our scholarships are due on March 1st. We are awarding 7 scholarships for achievement for $1,500 each. There will also be 3 scholarships offered to students for the Power of Courage, also for $1,500 each. New this year, the Mary Beth Anderson Education Scholarship will have 2 recipients who demonstrate achievement and are going into the field of education. Both will earn $1,500 each. Any high school senior who has attended a District 25 school for at least 3 years is eligible to apply. Scholarships will be awarded at our annual scholarship breakfast held this year on Friday, April 25th. Our units are hard at work providing engaging programming to schools and families, hosting book fairs, and sponsoring clubs for our students after school. We are excited to share that of all the District 25 students who participated in the National PTA Reflections Program, 44 student entries from Dryden, Patton, Olive, South, Westgate, Windsor all advanced to the regional level. Of those students, 12 student entries from Dryden, Patton, Westgate all advanced to the state level. We look forward to celebrating the success of these students later this spring. Our Arlington Heights Council of PTAs is looking for nominations to fill the following roles for the 25-26 school year. These are no small roles that they need to fill: president, president-elect, first vice president, and second vice president. So if you have some interest in helping support the schools and the students in Arlington Heights, 4 big positions are available. Anyone who has served on the executive council at any district school and is currently a PTA member is eligible. Please contact Amanda at ahcpta25@gmail.com if you are interested. The Arlington Heights Council of PTAs thanks the parents and teachers who have joined the PTA this school year. If you have not joined, please visit your school's website to do so. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that update, Dr. K, and thank you to all our PTA members and the council for their amazing work in building, tight-knit communities at all our schools and across our schools. So very much appreciated. Next up is ABC 25 Foundation, and Gina, if you could share this month's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. So lots going on with ABC 25 right now. So first and foremost, on January 20th, we hosted our Free for Member event, and it was the Magic of Science. It was very well received. It was very well attended, and we have a huge shout out to Ivy Hill for allowing us to use their facility, and our various volunteers that were very helpful in making it a successful event for our community and all of our kiddos. Next, on membership update, so currently 4 out of 9 schools have achieved their 25% membership and earned their $2,500. We're hopeful that everybody else will get there. The numbers of what's still left in families needed to join to reach are very small, so fingers are crossed. So as an added incentive, Cruise to School is going on. So anybody who joins by Saturday, February 15th, can potentially get a ride to school and cruise to school with the Arlington Heights Police Department. It's usually really, really big draw. The kids love it. They love showing up at school in the police car, and we really appreciate Arlington Heights Police Department supporting us with this effort. Okay, next. This one's the big one. So I've been talking about Fun Fair forever. Scratch that. Scratch everything I said about the Fun Fair. We have repurposed our big fundraiser, and calling all golfers, we are going to Top Golf. So our fundraiser this year is being moved from being a fun fair or previously a race. If any of you have run in the races, we are going to Top Golf. So mark your calendars. It is Saturday, April 6th from 1 to 4 p.m. More information to come on how to sign up and how to register, but what I will offer is if you have or have not been to Top Golf, check out the website. Very fun for all ages. There will be lots to do, and as a teaser, I can tell you that the cost to go as part of the fundraiser will be less than if you were to go to Top Golf as just a general consumer. So very exciting, April 6th. Everybody mark your calendars. This is where we will do our big raising of funds so that we can give back to all of our wonderful teachers for everything that they do to support their creative ideas in the classroom. So all of the money gets fed right back to our educators. So exciting times right now.
Can I ask, what was the start time and end time?
Yeah,
Was it
yeah.
3
1 to 4.
hours? 3 hours total?
Yes, 1 to 4.
Awesome.
I see Dr. K is getting his golf skills ready.
I tried to offer him up as one of the
It's
raffle
a
prizes, and he
value.
said no.
Yeah, I don't think I need to be a raffle prize. But I do think the 3 hours and the price is of value for those who frequent that location.
It's a great value.
Moving on.
Well, he wanted somebody to be able to golf with him.
Yeah.
That was the goal. He said no.
Oh. We'll work on him, Gina, for you.
I think we'll all just have to be there to find out.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer. Well, thank you, Gina. We appreciate the update.
I wanted to jump in really quickly, Gina. I was at the January 20th event. Kudos to all those volunteers and all the kids and parents on that super cold day. It was a really fun event. So thanks to all the volunteers who were who was there that day. And I know that they were getting folks to sign up to be members as well. So they did a great job. I had fun.
Thank you. All right. We're going to welcome Allison Bird to the microphone for her monthly ATA update, which we appreciate.
Oh, good.
So thank you for being here, Allison.
Thanks for having me. And I have to say, as someone who has run the 5K before, Topgolf sounds way better than running the race, dying on the 5K. Okay, good evening. Thanks for having me. I always appreciate the opportunity to talk about what's going on around the district. Teachers have just participated in day-to-day across the district and intervention planning over the last couple of weeks. Teachers were busy looking at data to determine which students could benefit from a boost in either reading or math interventions or in their classrooms with either math interventionists, with either reading or math interventionists, or with in their classrooms. Also, some of our enrichment groups will be meeting with our advanced learning specialists across the district, so we'll be starting new groups up and running next week. So that's been a productive couple weeks for teachers. Our ML students have been busy finishing up access testing across the district. It's been very busy January and February for us. Teachers have also been very busy preparing for Valentine's Day this week on Thursday, and on Friday is our second round of parent-teacher conferences. Teachers always enjoy the opportunity to meet with parents to discuss progress of students, and as an added bonus, we have e-learning tomorrow to add to Valentine's Day and conferences. So it's been a fun week for the teachers. We're excited. Okay, moving on. Here's some pictures of our math intervention students. Math intervention students at Windsor in kindergarten are working on centers to focus on skills like comparing numbers. Students have completed teen numbers and are working to be able to show what they've learned by completing bingo boards. First graders have been working on word problems using addition and subtraction. They use the hand on the head or the use of fingers as an addition strategy from Numeracy Consultants, which is a district math intervention that we use here in the district. And some students prefer number lines, which is cool also. Third graders have been working on passing their fact fluency assessments, also using Numeracy Consultants. So here's some of our friends working in their math intervention room. Their bingo boards. There's the hands on the heads. You can see some in the back there too. At Greenbrier, students made blankets for cancer patients. This was a service project put on by the PTA that they completed with their buddy classes during a week of service. So there's some pictures from that. And then Patton Student Council had a very successful food drive, delivered 5 carloads of items to the Wheeling Township Pantry. Oh, those are some blanket making students still. And here are our food pantry students, which is awesome. And finally, PE classes at Windsor just finished a fitness unit that had the kids working on a lot of their cardiovascular health. The children really enjoyed the variety of fitness stations, a big win for physical fitness, and there they are. I noticed today walking my students to gym that it is now volleyball season over at the gym. So we have the volleyball nets up, also hugely popular sport with our kids. So that is some exciting things going on around the district, and I'll be back next month. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Allison.
Have a good night. Stay, safe. Warm, dry. Thank you.
Our next agenda item is the consent agenda, and this is an action item. Can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President.
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve those items on the consent agenda as follows. A, personnel report and addendum to personnel report. B, invoices. C, regular and closed session meeting minutes of January 14th, 2025. D, hold closed session minutes of July 16th, 2024, August 13th, 2024, September 24th, 2024, and November 12th, 2024, per Board Policy 2:220-E1. E, release closed session minutes of August 12th, 2024, October 8th, 2024, and December 10th, 2025. No, that should also be 2024, I believe, per Board Policy 2:220-E1. F, destruction of audio tapes January 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2023, per Board Policy 2:220-E1.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second, please.
A second.
Thank you, Anisha. Lana, if you could please call the vote.
First, Kevin, thank you for catching that year. I apologize. My fault on that. For the vote, Neerman? Yes. Jogi?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cerniglia?
Yes.
Faso?
Yes.
Oliniechek?
Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 7-0. We're going to move on to the business and finance section of the agenda. We do have an action item for the student photography contract. So can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President?
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education award the contract for student photography services to Stuart Rogers Limited for the school years 2025-26 through 2027-28.
Thank you, Kevin. A second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Anisha. And so, Stacy, if you could walk us through this item.
Sure, thank you. Historically, our PTAs across the district have individually contracted with student photography companies to do the school photographs, yearbooks, etc. for each individual school. And the revenue that's associated with that gets back to the PTA. The impact on the district over the years when the PTAs moved to different companies. We currently have multiple vendors that we're dealing with, but that's also where we get the photographs from for our school bus passes. The tech department's involved in providing a lot of data to the various companies for both the photographs and the yearbooks, and then when kids come through the years or need replacement things, we're working with multiple individual companies. So in working with the PTAs, we came to the agreement with their support that the district would let out a request for proposal and have one main contract with the district, try to achieve some economies of scale and revenue by having one company cover all 9 schools. So we did have 5 responses from 5 different photography companies, some that we have worked with, some that we have not. And we had a rating system that we use that you can see in the notes, where we reviewed the proposals based on prior experience with them, ease of use when it comes to both our transportation department and our tech department, the commission percent, which pretty much across the board, every single photography company that put in a proposal gave the same commission over a 3-year contract. However, some had signing bonuses, which would provide an additional revenue source to our PTAs. So based on our analysis across a variety of factors, Stuart Rogers did come out with the highest number of points, and we are recommending a 3-year agreement be awarded to them. Again, the district will hold the contract, but they will work with the individual PTAs and schools as they have historically to coordinate picture day. We've also, part of the problem we had at the district level was just the timing of all the different photography days at all the schools. I think our last one was in November, December, so we weren't getting student photos for bus passes and things on a timely manner. So that was another piece of this. Requires all of the photographs to be taken within, I believe it's 30 days of the start of school, so that we can have everything up and running and set forth. And I think because of the bigger pool of schools, it's also a more attractive contract.
Thank you, Stacy. Any questions from the board on this item? Okay. Oh, yeah, please, go ahead.
Just to refresh our memory, I know a lot of the PTAs use the picture day as a fundraiser. The funds will still be going back to the PTAs, correct?
100%.
Okay. And then is the proposed Stuart Rogers, is that a yearbook company as well? Will it all be
Yes,
into one?
they bid on, their proposals included all the services they would provide. They provided sample photos, images, as part of their proposal process. Stuart Rogers actually is used already by 3 schools within the district, so we do have a lot of experience with them. But yes, everyone was rated based on what they'll bring to the table, and they all pretty much offered a lot of the very same things. Stuart Rogers did, on top of the commission, offer a sign-on bonus that was pretty significant, that we are able to then split between the 9 PTAs. So that was an additional benefit for a district-wide contract.
Okay, thank you for your added attention to the PTAs and how all the different things work. I know that money's really important to them, so thank you for your extras.
Could I add one more piece just for clarification? If PTAs had a picture company and they used a different company for their yearbooks, we weren't taking away that option. So if they have a yearbook company that they like working with, we weren't taking away that option. We just wanted to make sure we had one picture company we were working with. I'm sensing from Stacy's face that that may not be accurate. That's why I wanted to talk about it.
I guess I'd wonder how then the yearbook companies would get all the photos if they weren't taking them. So I'm not sure that that works, but I mean, I think they all offer yearbook, well, I know they all offer yearbook services.
They do, yep.
Yeah. Stacy and Dr. K, I do know that while the picture companies may offer yearbook services, there are yearbook services that don't offer photography.
Pictures. Yep.
And I know we have a lot of volunteers working on those yearbooks, and it's to learn a new program. So if it's possible that schools were using one photography and another company for the yearbook. So from what Dr. K says, that may continue, or
It is
schools
true,
have an
'cause
option?
when I went to the PTA meeting, they were talking about, and we asked, who's using this photography company, and do you use somebody different for yearbooks? And many of them did use somebody different. So we weren't trying to take over anything other than economies of scale, trying to have one vendor that we're working with. So before we communicate anything back to the PTAs, we'll clarify in the language. Our goal was to have one photo company to work with. For ease, they could continue working with them for yearbook, but they wouldn't have to.
You're correct. It's a
Just
service
making sure.
offered.
Could we isolate that phrase one more time? You're correct. Thank you for confirming, because I just want to make sure that was a message I'd been communicating to all the PTAs as well, that if they have relationships and they're really happy with the yearbook that they provide and they get to add additional pages in the middle of all their own personal pictures, I know that meant a lot to a lot of PTAs. So I know we were strategic back in November, December to only look for a photo company. They could do the yearbook if you wanted them to, or you could opt to have another company.
They will provide a yearbook export, is the way it's worded. So if that's wanted, they would.
Thank you for confirming.
Mhm.
And then the only other thing I would add is I'm sure a lot of PTAs are anxious to know who they're going to be working with. So once the meeting's over tonight, I'll email Amanda, and then we'll email all the PTAs, let them know. Get in fast to get your dates. But I know Stuart Rogers is very excited to work with all of the buildings, and I think they already have a relationship with many of them.
So I have reached out to all the buildings, gathered the data of who those contacts are, that I will be sending that spreadsheet to Stuart Rogers. I have the contact there already, and that individual at Stuart Rogers will reach out. She's already asked for all that information, wants to start reaching out to the school contacts.
Yeah, I can tell they're anxious too to get going.
Yes,
Yeah.
and excited.
Thank you.
And Dr. K or Stacy, and then the initial impetus for this, to move this direction, did that come from admin? Is that from staff?
It did. It came from the staff here at district office.
Yeah.
In order to have more control over dates, timelines, and fees.
Yeah.
So control it more from a district perspective, but we don't have an interest in the revenue. We want the buildings to still get all of that.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say thank you to you and the staff for the way you've handled that delicate, because the PTAs do have a really vested interest and had built relationships, but it seems like you've navigated those waters pretty well. So thank you.
Thank you
for that care. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Lana, if you could please call the vote.
Jogi? Yes.
Scapalato,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Cerniglia,
Yes.
Vaso,
Yes.
Oliniechek, Neerman.
Yes.
Thank you, Lana, and the motion carries 7-0. We're going to go to the superintendent's report next. This is the lion's share of our business this evening under this agenda topic. So, Dr. Kay, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. So I have a couple updates, and then we'll have some information and action items after that. So Kevin had talked about in his update that EdRed was looking at polling places at schools and trying to move those in the future, advocating for polling places not happening at schools when school is in session. So right now, April 1st is the next election day, and we attempted to work with Cook County and ask if they could condense, combine, potentially put more schools at local churches, and we received a letter indicating that that was not a viable option. So on April 1st, all of the schools we've been notified that will be election sites will be hosting election sites. So that's not something we've never done before, but we do have to then put some safety measures in place. So we've often put a building attendant at every building, and we've also asked one of the administrators from district office to sign up for a shift during the school day to be like an extra support to the building attendant. Some buildings will have impacts, such as buildings may need the gym to be the polling place, therefore students can't use the gym that day. It does help us give space to the community to vote, and it also helps us to limit their access to the building, but I don't love that it impacts our ability to run regular PE on that school day. So we just got notified that the condensing of polling places was not possible, so we are just now starting to work with schools to let them know you are a polling place, and we believe we have a designated spot that's been traditionally used in the past. Here's how we hope to secure that space. But yeah, principals are just learning about that this week, that they are confirmed polling places. So just so you're aware, there's only 3 that are not going to be polling places on April 1st, both middle schools, so Thomas and South and Olive. All other schools will have polling taking place.
I have a question, Dr. K. Like in the future, what was the reasoning given? Is it short-term notice? Like in the future, will they be able to do something?
It's not about short-term notice. There was a lot of legal language and policies that allow them to do this. And looking at both sides, like we want the community to have quick access to a polling place that's near their residence. So I totally get and support that. Yeah. I just don't love that it's on a school day when kids are present. Yeah. So I wish we had other options, and I'm not going to be naive, especially in light of what we're calling for tomorrow. We do have the option for an e-learning day, but I'm also not advocating for an e-learning day on April 1st to avoid having students, because I'm not going to say an e-learning day is equivalent to a day of instruction. So I'd much rather, and the board can obviously continue to have a conversation about it, but I'd much rather have the inconvenience of the gymnasium being not used than everyone not being able to come to school that day. But it's not something we all appreciate and enjoy. So safety is of the biggest concern on those days. And again, we'll have a BA and one of the district admin at the polling places for those buildings.
And I know it's been a conversation with EdRed, so maybe in the future,
it is.
Hopefully.
And I think you guys remember back in November, the state itself said that you cannot have school on that date because they knew it was going to be a heavily attended election. They didn't say that for April 1st. So I'm sorry it wasn't on my radar when building the calendar to just take that as a day off potentially, but it wasn't a decision we made to have that as a day off. Any other questions on that topic? All right. I believe you guys are aware that there was an odor at a Mother's Touch that was wafting into the minor school area, and over winter break we were able to get some quick work done to eliminate the odor. It has returned in a small capacity, so I just wanted you to be aware. We're continuing to work through that, and we're continuing to use not only our own staff, but we're also asking the same plumber company to look at and investigate why would the smell be returning from this one location. It's not at a significant level that it would require closing school, but it is something that we thought we had tackled and we were done with. So I just wanted you to be aware. We're continuing to work through that, and it's happening. I know we called it the minor odor, but it really is on the A Mother's Touch side of the facility, and it was just impacting them and minors. So just wanted you to be aware it's still a topic we are investigating. PTA meetings, I've had a chance now to officially go to at least one of every buildings, which has been phenomenal. We are truly blessed in this community to have dedicated PTAs that have so many activities, not only for students, but for the parent community, and all of the fun that they build in for the staff. Most recently, I was at Dryden, and Akemi hosted an open house beforehand. So a lot of parents come and just ask questions. And she also had the new incoming principal, Jessica Martinson, come as well, so that was fun. And a family brought in like a beautiful bouquet of flowers for Akemi, a beautiful bouquet of flowers for Jessica. So whatever that family wants, I think they are gonna get for next school year. But it was just a refreshing opportunity to hear all the things that are going on. Specifically this week, it was at Dryden, but I've had a chance now to do every building, so it was fantastic. And the last thing I want to share before a couple videos is World Read Aloud Day took place on February 5th, and there was a brave class that invited me to come in and participate. It was 4th grade, Mrs. Stevens' class invited me to participate in World Read Aloud Day, and I want to thank their Olive LMC for helping identify a couple books they thought the kids might like. And then they chose a book that I thought was phenomenal. It's called We're All Wonders, a heartfelt picture book to 4th graders that introduces young readers to Augie, a boy with a unique appearance who emphasizes kindness, empathy, and seeing the beauty in everyone. It was just a fun 15-minute exercise in the classroom. Mrs. Stevens' class, thank you for inviting me. It was a great experience. And lastly, I picked out a couple videos that I wanted to share with you guys. Thank you, Adam, for getting them up. This first one is from South Middle School. And this is a lesson that they shared on their morning announcements with all of their students and their staff that I thought would be exciting to share with you guys as well.
Hi, South. Mrs. McMain's here. We're here to introduce the Wednesday Wellness Skill for February. And I'm here with a couple other people.
Miss Leiby, 6th grade social studies.
Mr. Stordahl, 6th grade social studies.
So the skill for Wednesday Wellness is the relaxation sigh. So this is the visual that your teachers will get. It's actually called the physiological sigh. It was invented by a doctor who calls it that, but since that word is long and hard to remember, we're calling it the relaxation sigh. And this is one that you can use easily in lots of classroom situations. It's quick and pretty easy to remember, and we'll demonstrate it for you in just a minute.
Because this technique is so independent, it's something you can do before a test or quiz just to ease your mind and really get in the right mindset before you take that assessment.
In high school and college, I ran cross country and track, and this was something that my coaches had us do before big competitions. It helps with nerves, helps prep the body before a big competition. So for any athletes out there, this is a good technique to use. It's one that I have some of our athletes at South use before some big competitions as well.
Okay, so we're just going to do a quick demonstration. So the first thing you're going to do, there's step one, is to fill your lungs with air. And then even though your lungs are full, you're going to take a second short breath to kind of top it off, almost like you're overflowing the lungs with air. And then you're going to breathe out through the mouth slowly and just kind of sigh all the air out. So we'll do a demonstration. Okay, ready, guys?
Feel free to demonstrate.
All right, so step one, breathe in. Short in again. and then out. And that's it. That is the relaxation sigh. Give it a try with your home base. Give it a try before some situations. And as always, reach out, let myself know or your grade level social worker know how it's working for you, or if you have ideas for other Wednesday wellness features. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
So I just thought it was great that they are focusing every Wednesday on wellness and giving just a little tip, a little trick. And it's not just for students, it was for the staff as well. So I just love that their focus on morning announcements gives kids some strategies and adults some strategies on how to prepare and relax. Next up, we have a video from Greenbrier Cares Week. This is the culmination of their week. The visual you can see right here, but Adam's going to play the whole video, and then you'll understand why all of those cereal boxes are on the ground at the end.
It was Gators Care Week at Greenbrier, and it came to quite a fun close today with the donation of cereal boxes and a domino rainfall grand finale. All week, the Gators were putting forth mindful time and hands-on efforts to be of service.
You got that. It's okay.
Buddy Classrooms teamed up and made blankets for Phil's Friends. That's an organization that sends care packages to people who are battling cancer.
Yeah, man, you're cooking. You're cooking, dude.
Students made kindness rocks in art class, and those are going to be placed in the Greenbrier Garden. And then in the spring, those rocks are going to be placed around the neighborhood to spread kindness messages, so people look out for those.
You rock.
Yeah.
Love it, man.
Students wrote letters and cards to local nursing home residents, spreading joy that way. And the community donated cereal boxes to their local food pantry. And then, of course, the domino rainfall was the grand finale through the hallways. Greenbrier's community is so strong, and their impact is always felt in a big way. Thank you to the GBPTA for helping lead these efforts and partnering with our GB administration and teachers. Hope this video sends you into the weekend with incredible vibes. Bye.
So that was a good example for you guys to see of all the work that's being done to show care for others outside of yourself. I thought this was a great week that Greenbrier puts together every year. And then the last one is from Olive. It's actually an activity that everyone in the school district participated in. While we were at Read Aloud Day, Adam pulled a couple students aside to talk about Digital Citizenship Week. And I loved what Adam was able to capture from these two students. Enjoy.
You want to say bye like superheroes, though?
Bye. And you know this. I'm Batman.
Hey, Arlingtonites. Adam Harris here, Head of Communications Storytelling. I'm with Knox. Say hi.
Hi.
James, say hi.
Hi.
They're dressed up as superheroes because this week is Digital Citizenship Week, and Wednesday is the Be Safe Week. So now they are superheroes today. Monday was Be Balanced. Tuesday was Be Kind. Wednesday's Be Safe. Be Aware is Thursday, and Be Informed is Friday. Can you tell me about Digital Citizenship Week?
So we're going to start with Monday, Be Balanced. So on Monday, Be Balanced is you have to have a balanced screen time and a balance of reading and all the other stuff in the day. That's why you get room for reading, sleeping, and also some screen time.
And James, what about Tuesday's Be Kind online? What does that mean?
Don't use cyberbullying.
Got it. So be nice to people online, right?
Yeah, don't bully anyone in real life or online. And if someone is already bullying them, stand up for them.
Love it. Be safe. You guys are in superhero costumes today for Be Safe. James, tell me about Be Safe.
Be safe. Don't tell anything that's private to you. Don't tell your age, school, full name, or address.
Address. Very cool. Very cool.
Also, if your guardian says yes, you can share it like with a friend or something, you gotta approve with the guardian or a parent.
Now, tomorrow is Be Aware. What's that? Or do we not know yet? We're not there yet?
Yeah, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
Well, we gotta be aware of strangers online and people who want to get our information.
Yeah, people who are like, tell me your information now or I'll hurt you. I'd be like, just ignore them.
You're like ignoring them. Okay, and then informed. That's the last one. What's be informed? Just of like what's going on online?
Yeah,
I mean, we're going to get there, right?
yeah.
So what do you think about Digital Citizenship Week? Do you like it?
Yeah, it's a fun week for school because you get to do activities and it's not like a normal school week.
Okay, so if you were to give advice to anybody that's younger than you, that's just starting to go on devices, what would you give them advice for about Digital Citizenship Week? What would you say, James?
Be kind to people online.
Love it. What about you?
And never share personal information.
Okay, I love it. Now should we just say goodbye?
Goodbye.
You want to say goodbye like superheroes, though?
And you know this. I'm Batman.
Thanks for showing those, Adam. I love that this was a district-wide project to make sure that there was something for each day to focus on sharing with students from kindergarten through 5th grade. And you could tell they clearly remembered the lessons from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They hadn't had yet Thursday and Friday, but they're absorbing some of the balance. I don't know if they will mimic and demonstrate the balance, but I love that they are hearing be balanced in your screen time and other activities. So I just thought that was good to share with you guys this evening as well. And thanks to the technology team for putting that all together for the district. That worked out really, really well. All right, next up I have 4 information items and 2 action items. We'll start with the Freedom of Information Act report. We had, since our last meeting, 2 FOIAs that were requested and responded to within the given timeline. And for the next one, this is an action item, second reading of policies, press 117.
Yep. And so with that, can we have a motion, please?
Mr. President?
Yes, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the policies and exhibit as presented.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Anisha. And so, Dr. K, any changes from the first reading?
There are no changes from the first reading to all of these policies.
Okay. And any questions from the board before we go to a vote? Seeing none, Lana, if you could please call the vote.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Cerniglio?
Yes.
Basso?
Yes.
Olenichek? Neerman?
Yes.
Jogi?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Lana. The motion carries 7-0. And the next item is the Illinois Vision 2030 resolution, which was presented last meeting. This is an action item. So can I have a motion, please?
Mr. President?
Yeah, Kevin.
I recommend that the Board of Education approve the resolution Illinois Vision 2030 as presented.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thank you, Anisha. And so, Dr. K, anything to add from since last month?
No, I appreciate you sharing that. This was an information item back in January, and this is coming back today for an action. The goal would be to support the Vision 2030 laid out in this resolution. So nothing new to add, no changes, and I'm hopeful and excited that the School District 25 can also be a supporter of the Vision 2030.
Any questions from the board or comments?
Yeah, I'll just mention that I touched base with Kimberly Small, the Executive Director of Illinois Association of School Boards, and she was thankful to our board and to Dr. K for bringing it up as an informational item for us to all kind of, look into more deeply and to think about it for our vote today. So she thanked us.
Okay, thank you, Anisha. I wanted to share, I took the time and went through the documentation to just learn a little bit more about it, and there were some things, there's a lot of stuff in there I think applies to our district, but I wanted to highlight here with all of you just some that stuck out for me. And the three top line items they focus on are future-focused learning, shared accountability, and reliable funding. There's something in each, of course, that we could latch onto and say really applies to our district. But I want to highlight a few things under shared accountability that I know we've talked about here. The first one, they have different recommended state policies under shared accountability. And the first one is reform the Illinois assessment system to be a timely and useful measure of student proficiency and growth over time. Namely, providing unofficial student results to local school districts in near real time. How many times have we sat here lamenting that it's not till the next year that IAR that's when we get those results? So that's a home run hit right there. And then aligning proficiency benchmarks to a national distribution. And they go on, we actually heard in the news recently, a lot of news about the National Assessment of Educational Progress, the NAEP test, and how it looked for our country. We know here in Illinois, we have a different standards. So even though in general, our district, we outperform the national standard, the Illinois standards make us look significantly less so. So just an alignment that provides clarity for the public that are looking at those scores or hearing news items around those. The other one was reforming the accountability system to provide local flexibility and a more holistic view of student success. And there's a couple items under there, but particularly reviewing the criteria for annual summative designations to be fixed standards as opposed to a normative ranking. All that is to say, you know, when we look at the Illinois State Report Card and you'll see some of our schools, different designations, it's exemplary and commendable. And so you'll see our schools float in and out of those, and that's because it's only they ever take the top 10%. It's not a fixed standard. And so even for us that we talk about this a lot, you might look at that and go, why they were, you know, commendable, now they're, you know, exemplary, and now they're not. And so advocating for just a standard for everyone to shoot for sounds like, again, a great thing. And then finally, reforming the mandate process to ensure implementation procedures that promote flexibility in local decision-making, local control. That's what we're all about when we talk about at this table. And I know we've gotten a list from Stacy of unfunded mandates. So now asking the state to distinguish between essential and discretionary mandates and reviewing all proposed mandates for their financial and operational impact would be a welcome thing for us, I think, here in District 25. So I'm hopeful that we as a board will join the 435 other districts that have already passed this resolution and add our voice. And I think it really gives all of us a framework when we're talking to our state legislators. It gives Dr. K and his team a way to advocate for our district and add our voice. So, thank you. And also, any other comments? I'll ask Lana if we could please go to the vote.
Michael?
Yes.
Cerniglia?
Yes.
Faso?
Yes.
Olenichek? Yes. Neerman?
Yes.
Jogi?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes. And thank you, Lana, and the motion carries 7-0. Dr. K, we have another information item here, and it's the full-day kindergarten survey results.
Thank you, President Scapalato, and thank you, Allison Berg. Really appreciate it. So this is an information item on the full-day kindergarten survey. So as you know, we've spent a lot of time preparing for the beginning of this school year to implement full-day kindergarten, and I wanted to take a moment to just ask all of the parents who have kids in full-day kindergarten just some thoughts. What do they currently appreciate about the program? Are there any challenges that they're experiencing with the program? So this is the results of that survey. It was launched back in November. We did the first survey reminder, then a second one, and then closed it in early December. So there were 273 participants, 238 thoughts, and of those thoughts, I don't know if you remember Thought Exchange, how it works. You rate then any of those thoughts that are on there, and the ratings either show that they like that and they support that comment, or they are not a fan and show that they don't like that comment. So there were 3,825 ratings that were put into those 238 thoughts. So overall, there was a positive feeling towards the experience the kids have in the full day program. I'll go through some of the high level, the most positive thoughts that had the most ratings attached to it. If you could read that, I give you kudos. That is much smaller than I thought. But I wanted to read, these were the top highest 4 rated comments that were put into the survey. Give me one moment. The first one is, my child's favorite experience are playing with friends at recess and free time in the classroom. She loves spending time with her teacher as well. Her favorite part of school is the playtime. Just a reminder of how important that unstructured time is for 5- and 6-year-olds. The second one, teacher and amount of playtime is what they really liked. Who he spends most of his day with, and at this age, they need playtime to learn a lot through it. Next, the third one, the preparation for elementary school along with extra play experiences. I think it's important that they build up the stamina and still get the opportunity to play and socialize as kindergartners do. And last, in the top 4, happy to see that all the different academic subjects, along with specials, as well as the time for free play, are incorporated into the learning day. Valuable learning is taking place while also allowing for the students time to play and explore. So some top 4 comments that were rated, obviously you heard about the purposeful play. They didn't call it purposeful play, but that's what we call it internally. But I know there's been a lot of focus on what that playtime looks like. And then the lowest rated, as much as I'd love to just gloss over these, I also want to share with you the lowest rated ones. The top and the lowest rated was, some kinder teachers did not take the time to meet the students where they are and build their joy and culture for a new school and full day. Academics and rigor are important, but the full child seemed to have been forgotten when kindergarten teachers began the year. The second one, my daughter's school experience with her teacher has been wonderful. Her teacher created a positive and fun first full day school experience for her. I want my daughter to enjoy and want to come to school, which she does. She's learning in fun ways and doesn't even realize the learning that is going on. The third one, my child comes home frustrated that things being taught in kinder are things that they already learned in pre-K program, like letters and numbers. This affects motivation to go to school. Most kids in the district have attended such programs, so why isn't the district teaching to them? And the last one, the inability to train and equip kindergarten teachers around the new curriculum. Additionally, the lack of support around teaching a full schedule. Kinder teachers are doing the exact same thing that they did when they had a half day. They now have a whole full day schedule. Why are sound books still being sent home? So as much as I don't want to share with you some of the challenges that we received, that's the benefit of giving the survey. We're going to recognize and celebrate what we think we're doing great and what the parents think we're doing great, but we also want to see what are they struggling with in the kindergarten program. So this survey allows for all thoughts to be put on the table for us to review. This was shared with you, a PDF was, so you could see the results. We also shared it with the kindergarten teachers so they could see. And again, like I'm sharing with you, we don't hide behind the feedback that was given to us so they can all see. The benefit is we don't know where these comments came from. We don't know which school they came from, so the anonymity of these comments is helpful to make sure we get real input. So the kindergarten teachers then wrestle with this feedback. I have an interest in repeating the survey near the end of the year when they've had the full experience, which will help us even more refine the experience for next year. So while I think that's really far away, it's not. It's coming up rather soon. But this thought exchange opportunity gives us an opportunity for them to give us feedback about our current program. We could do this for anything, but we chose to do it with full day kindergarten to get started this year. Just before I move on, are there any questions or thoughts about the 2 pages I've read?
Dr. Kay, I just want to thank you for we're always progress oriented, right? We always want to grow or lifelong learners. I appreciate that this information is giving us our strengths and our opportunities so that we can continue to grow.
So some of the key themes that came out, who doesn't love a good Wordle? These were some of the key themes that came out: learning, in the comments that were made. Child, loves, time, lots of good positive words in there. These were the star ratings, so what people indicated with stars by rating the comments. Those were the biggest themes that came out: reading, loves, excited, play, academics, great, specials. Everyone's getting some love. And then these were some of the significant takeaways that we took from the survey and shared with our kindergarten teachers. I'll just highlight a couple of them. I can't read it from this distance. The social development, increased confidence, independence, and strong friendship among students. And the teacher and staff support, positive relationships between students and teachers, with teachers providing a secure and trusting learning environment. So many focus areas, but those were two I just wanted to highlight on this page. And then the areas to improve, Anisha, as you were talking about, these are opportunities for us to improve in the future. So communication is one, more teacher training on the new curriculum. I don't know if you guys remember, they all started the new curriculum for this school year. And more balance between academic rigor and play, and more focus on social emotional learning. So we have targeted areas to look at for the future as well. Any questions on the kindergarten survey?
Dr. Kay, I just want to ask about those areas to improve. So you said you shared those out, or they've been shared out. Then could you talk about next steps? Where do you circle back, or what does it look like to address those? Just after the sharing, what happens?
Yeah, I think the first one that got attention was, if you look at the areas to improve, was the communication. So if that was a concern for some, again, we didn't know if it was a specific school or a specific teacher within the school, so it was a holistic, let's look at ways to improve the communication that does go home. So I think that was the first one, like, let's advertise what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that became the first area. How can we look at ways to improve our communication to our program? And the kindergarten staff continues to meet and refine the program because they're still in the first year of implementation of their literacy curriculum, which dominates a majority of what a kindergarten teacher does in a day. So communication became the first focus for an action item.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kay. Unless there's any other question, we'll move on to the strategic plan.
Great.
This is also an information item.
Correct. I'm not sure who can change the presentation. Allison Berg, can I get your help with that for a second? Thank you. It's coming in handy. It's working. So the topic of this one is just information items, strategic planning process. I think most of you were part of the strategic plan, or some of you were part of the strategic plan when it was adopted back in April of 2021. And we are currently still living in that strategic plan. You can see a visual up on the wall to the right. So what we are coming up upon is the sunsetting of that current strategic plan and looking at opening up a new strategic plan for the future. I believe we've found the current strategic plan to be a tool that we celebrate, and we like the focus of the areas. There are the 5 strategic goal areas that came out of the last and current strategic plan. And the process that we engaged in with the community, with all the stakeholders, getting a lot of voice and input to identify our 5 key goals, I feel like the board has celebrated in the past. So I reached out to the gentleman who brought us through that process of engaging our current stakeholders to see if he would have an interest and availability to continue with us in the future. So for those who were part of it, whether you were a community member at the time or a board member, it was Dr. Perry Soldeweld, and he is very interested in coming back to help us facilitate the sunsetting of our current one and looking at the data review process to improve and look at a new strategic plan. So the process itself looks very similar. Where I have an interest in spending some time with you is at the end of the strategic process, how we look at updating the board, how we look at monitoring the growth. It was definitely talked about in the last strategic plan. I don't think we followed through necessarily on all of the updates to the board with what the key performance indicators were going to be, and then having regular updates here at this table. So the goal of this conversation is to share, I think the process of getting to the 5 strategic goals was really thought through. It was impactful. It was inclusive of a lot of input from the community. I think where even when I was HR, where I struggled was giving input on the progress we have made with the goals. So this is just an overview of what I'm just going to run us through: the purpose of the strategic plan, facilitator and expertise from Perry. Number 3 is the real meat. The readiness phase could be March and April of this year. Strategic planning phase, getting all the inputs and the data review, September through January, and then talking about adopting a plan a year from now in February or March of 2026. Stakeholder engagement obviously is key in this process when you're doing this. And then what are the outcomes? So what I want to talk about is what will the outcome be? How do we strategically make sure that there are updates for the community to see on a regular basis and for the board to see out of the process? I think getting to the goals is one thing, implementing and showing progress on the goals is a whole nother. So I just kept it simple. Purpose of the strategic plan: define long-term goals and priorities, ensure alignment with district mission and vision, improve the student achievement, operational efficiency, and stakeholder engagement, and create a roadmap for continuous improvement. Perry would be the one I would bring to you and choose to use as our facilitator for this process. And then this shows a little bit more about that number 3 on the timeline. I want to focus on the second bullet, strategic planning phase. That would be September through January. There'd be an orientation phase, a data retreat, a vision retreat, setting direction retreat, and then finalizing the plan with recommendations, again, a year from now. The readiness phase just talks about who might be involved, the core leaders of the plan. Again, if you were part of the process when we did this last time, it doesn't look too unfamiliar. There's a core team that we use to guide a lot of this work. And then that group tries to rein in all the information we're getting from the community and the stakeholders within the school system to try to make goal areas. This is what the meat of the work would look like, with the orientation in September, data retreat in October, vision retreat in November, and then setting direction December and January. And then this is where we would want to spend more time. When we get to this point, how do we want to hold ourselves accountable? Ultimately, how do you want to hold me accountable for the goals we've set in place, and what are the benchmarks and timelines we want to hold ourselves to? I think that was the ball drop on the current strategic plan, which will come up when we do the sunsetting of this strategic plan. There will be input and opportunities for engagement on what is not going well in your current plan, even though he's the one who helped facilitate to get us here. That is part of the process to determine the future. You have to look at what are you not doing well that isn't going well in this current plan. So some future hand-holding on the post-identification of goals and how we get regular updates. So in the end, our goal would be to have clear direction for district priorities, improve student achievement and resource management, enhance stakeholder collaboration, and sustainable and measurable improvements. That would be phenomenal to have this as an outcome of the process. So this is just an information item talking about continuing with the process of using who we had before Perry. And if we like the idea or have comments or questions, we could bring it for a vote and action item in March to start moving forward. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Anisha?
Thank you, Dr. K, for kind of jumping on this intensive, right, process that we're going to go through, a really important time for our district as we kind of forecast where we're going, that compass that the board needs as well. So my question is, when Perry, when he did it last time, it was during COVID, and many districts did not do a strategic plan, but we were great with the fact that we did it, right? And we did it, it was done virtually. So will Perry be doing it in person or virtually this time?
I'm glad you asked that. He offers both. There are some he would recommend doing virtually, but he also knows I like face-to-face.
Yeah.
So he knows that that's part of what I want in this process, is more face-to-face engagement with not only the board, but our staff, our community. So he's offering the opportunity to do virtual, but he's not requiring that as part of the process.
Yeah. My individual would be like supporting yours. I think in person would be great. We were just constrained that time because of COVID, and now we don't have that constraint. So to do it in person would be valuable.
Yeah, I think the updates in between with the core team could be virtual, but I feel like the opportunity for engagement from the community needs to be more in person.
Yeah, the data days, all that would be great
Correct.
in person.
Mr. President, Brian,
Yes.
not necessarily on the process that was good. I think something to consider during that process is the length of time for the strategic plan. 5 years is great, but by the time you figure out, get the plan, communicate it, start the process, you're into year 2. If there's a program that you want to implement, like we're running through right now, you're in year 3 and 4. You don't have much time to really do anything. Not that 5 years isn't a long time, but 5 years isn't a long time in the school process when you got to go through selection, implementation committees, all that kind of stuff. So the thought is, and this has been popping up in other areas and districts, is rather than make it a 5-year, make it a 10-year.
Yep.
That you may modify slightly, but it's really sent about you're trying to make a difference in 10 years. So
Sure.
that you're impacting kids going through the entire system versus a segment of kids for a little bit, and then, we're going to change direction, we're going to do something else for a little bit. Just seems something worth thinking about.
Yeah, I went back through all of the communication when we did this back in 2021, and I was hopeful that this was only year 4 of the plan, thinking that next year was the final year, but I found some communication that didn't support my theory. So when we adopted it in April 2021, it then kicked off for year 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25. I thought it was a 5-year plan to go through next year, but it wasn't. There was some communication for those who wanted to help participate and be on committees. There was one communication that said that this would end in approximately May of 2025. I was like, darn. But when we adopted it, it only gave us 4 years then to really implement. So I appreciate the idea of, does it have to be a 5-year, could it be longer? And we've had strategic plans that are actually shorter. So time-wise, it doesn't have to be 5 years. We could talk through how long do we want this to live.
Mr. President?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm going to add on to what Rich's comments were. If we adopt a strategic plan, it doesn't mean that your KPIs and your action items under that strategic plan couldn't be reviewed in the shorter increments as we attain some of the operational goals in that kind of plan segment.
That makes sense.
So strategies should not change with 4-year regularity.
Yeah.
The operational implementation of them can. So you have to think about, what do you want in your KPIs versus what do you want in, the way you're steering the ship. So I would agree with Rich in that we should contemplate the themes of the strategy and the direction the ship is going for longer term, and then allow it like an aircraft carrier. Don't turn it on a dime, but send the planes off in the various directions that you need to around your KPIs.
I love the analogy.
Okay?
Yeah. And part of the work that would be recommended starting in the spring would be looking at, are there pieces of our plan that we want to continue. And why would we need to wipe it and start new? So part of that is like a retreat of looking at refining what we currently have, what needs to sunset and close and change. So it's possible this could be a more refined process and smoother one, since we've lived this process before. It may be able to go faster. So I could potentially see some of the same 5 themes turning up. It would surprise me if most of them didn't.
Dr. I was just going to add, I really appreciate being here at the initiation of this discussion. I appreciate my board colleagues' comments and really kind of exciting. I mean, having done with my colleagues a couple presentations, there's so much great stuff in this current one. And even just hearing you say, I think my maybe assumption was, oh, you just start over. But there's so much that we might want to refine, we might want to move on, or we might just want to keep because we value it so much in its current form. So just really appreciate the discussion.
Mr. President, I'm going to add on one comment. You know, now that I'm doing the math as well, as far as, okay, we started it in 21, right? In my head, it was a 5-year strategic plan. We're at 20. So is this a 4-year strategic plan?
I think there was a year where COVID got
Yeah,
involved, so it was supposed to start earlier, but it was officially adopted and approved here in April of 2021. So the first kickoff year was 21-22. But you'll notice, even at the top of our current strategic plan, it doesn't have school years. It just says, I think, 21 to 25.
Yeah, and it was, as I recall, right, I was one of the board members on that, and as I recall, because it was COVID, there was such complications, because we were going through so much at that time, right? Every day we're trying to support our community and our students. So I wonder, with everything that you've shared and with what Rich, Gina, what we're all saying, I'm wondering, is there school code or anything that holds us fast to we have to sunset and pick up again? Or because, and I can tell you, like during COVID, and you can come back to us sure with this information, but I also know, having done some research on it, there were many, many districts who were not able to start a strategic plan during COVID.
Correct.
The fact that we started one was, it was kind of, I don't know, in many ways it was a huge deal, right? I wonder if the conversation is appropriate to say, should we extend this by a year, knowing that we weren't able to fully start the work because of COVID?
I think that can be part of the conversation with Perry. When we gather some information about sunsetting, is it possible we don't want to sunset, we just want to continue? And then refine some of the performance indicators that we really want to see more often. So yeah, I think what you're saying is a possibility. And then there is no school code that says you have to have a strategic plan or a 5-year strategic plan. So it is something that we have adopted as setting our priorities for the future. So that is a conversation we can ask our facilitator, hey, if we're getting a sense that as we sunset, we actually want to keep the sun up. It'll be like Alaska, the sun never sets. And we continue it, then we just talk about, to Rich's point, how long do we want to continue this? And like set, again, a timeline for when do we come back to review it.
Again, we don't want 2 decades, right? But I think 4 years is yeah, I agree with my colleague.
Yeah, agree.
So Dr. K, some discussion today, and then do you have what you need?
I do.
Are you ready to come back next month?
Yep,
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for your thoughts on that topic. And so we're ready to move on to our second community input. Lana?
I have one more topic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just one more.
Did I?
And this is all about you guys. It's all about you guys.
Sorry for, we were going to go to the
draft board meeting dates for 25-26. Just an information item, really preliminary. I believe, Lana, if you could remind me, it was last year we adopted this year's dates in April. The organization.
The organization meeting they are, and the last couple years, we presented to the board some draft dates at like the March meeting to kind of flesh things out.
Yeah, perfect.
So
we're a little early.
We're just real early
in sharing these, but we thought it would be important since we can obviously see the school year calendar already. Let's look and see where the board meeting dates might land. So I'm not here to make any final decisions or ask you for decisions, but I am here to ask for some input. And you might notice one significant change is moving our meeting dates from the second Tuesday of the month to the third Tuesday of the month. The only reason we're suggesting that is for financial reasons, making payments on our purchases. But if that is going to cause a hardship, this third Tuesday doesn't work for you guys, we can manage, we'll be okay. But that was the biggest significant change you'll see in these draft dates. But these are your meetings. You pick the dates. So this is really just first shot, we're throwing it out at you. And it's for you guys to discuss what you would like to consider. So any initial questions or worries?
So Dr. K, then the intent is would maybe be an information item again.
Correct.
So the board has opportunity to look at these dates, and I know in the past, I know board members have suggested, oh, this particular one is maybe problematic versus the whole thing,
Certainly.
and we've shifted.
Yep.
So, but any comments or questions that today as we consider it?
So I'll bring it back here in March as another information item.
I have a question. These are all Tuesday dates?
They should be all Tuesday dates, yes.
I just want to ask this question because I know for the admin, for the superintendent, for you folks to get everything by a Tuesday, I believe was challenging. So I just kind of want to hear how it went, because this was, I don't know, was it our first year doing Tuesday? I can't recall. We've done it before. Because before we used to have Thursday meetings. So now that we've done this maybe for 2 years now, how is the Tuesday working out for the team here? Because it takes a lot of work to put a board meeting together. And is the Tuesday working? Is Thursday better? Is that something, I just want to bring that up because I know that it was difficult to do.
So I appreciate you asking, and I do remember that being something we brought to the board in the past, asking if we could change from Tuesdays back to Thursdays. Before I give my feedback, what I'd like to say is I'd like to bring that back to my team and ask, because a board member has asked, do we have any suggestions or thoughts we'd like to propose on the calendar? But I was only trying to build it off of what's currently in place. I feel like if I had a major concern, I would have already put this into the draft, but before I say completely no, let me bring it back to my team and ask, do they have a big interest in changing the day of the week? I'm sure Stacy would like Fridays. No, oh no, you wouldn't. No, no. So yeah, we're not saying that we are the staff is not recommending a change to Thursdays at this point.
To hear just how things are going and if there's anything.
But next month I'll bring back some feedback on that.
Mr. President,
Yes. Brian.
March 17th, 2026 is in fact St. Patrick's Day. So I just want to throw that one on your radar.
Even next year? It remains? Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you, Member Shanigli. Any other questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Dr. K, and we'll bring it back next month.
Thank you.
So now we have reached the second community input, and we don't have any requests to speak, so we will go to future agenda items, and this is where I ask if there's any new topics that have been previously discussed with Dr. K that we want to consider for future meetings. Okay. Seeing none of those, we are going to return to closed session to continue working on the same topics announced earlier for closed session. The board cannot take any action during closed session, and we will not be taking any action when we return to open session afterwards. Can I have a motion to adjourn and return to closed session, please?
Mr. President,
Yes, Kevin?
I recommend that we adjourn the open meeting and return to closed session for the previously stated topics.
Thank you, Kevin. And a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you, Anisha. And Lana, if you could please call the roll.
Cerniglia?
Sure.
Basso?
Yes.
Olenichuk? Neerman?
Yes.
Jogi?
Yes.
Scapalato?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. The motion carries 7-0, and we'll see you next month.